From the studios of Books in Motion, this is Rusty Nelson reading Comanche Reckoning, number 5 in the Kit Carson series by Douglas Hirt. Now let's begin with Comanche Reckoning. Chapter 1. The stinging blast bit savagely into Hernando Vigil's bunched fingers as he clutched the sheepskin coat, closed against the sharp winter wind. Although well after dark, the faint light from a lopsided moon reflected off the flying snow and glistening white ground lent an almost eerie feeling of daylight to the forest of low pinyon pines through which Hernando was trudging. With head bent to the wind and his right hand shoved deep into his pocket, wrapped tightly around the pouch of gold coins buried there, Hernando concentrated on putting one foot in front of the other, upon keeping his bearings straight, upon the puffs of gray steam that billowed from his mouth with each labored breath. And although the bitter cold brought violent shivers that racked his thin body, just holding a vision of Juanita in his thoughts, knowing that tomorrow they would be together again, kept a fire blazing within his breast, driving him on, making the cold almost bearable. Maria Juanita Chacon, the beautiful daughter of that stubborn old patron, Juan de Dios Chacon, could kindle a fire in any man whom she wished. But to Hernando's great good fortune, it was he she had chosen. Or was it such good fortune? Hernando frowned, thinking back to that morning and what he had done. What a man would do for the woman he loved. Some would steal for one such as Juanita. Some might even kill for her. His fist tightened upon the sack of coins in his pocket. A weight settled upon his shoulders, and he softly cursed old Chacon. At once Hernando regretted it, and he quickly crossed himself, offering up a hasty prayer to the Blessed Virgin as penance for his sin. Still, he could hardly be blamed for the feelings he held toward Juanita's stern father. Money! Was it really all that necessary for happiness where matters of the heart were concerned? And if not, why treat him like a cur just because he happened to be better than most men at not acquiring wealth? Was it his choice he was born of poor parents? Could he help it that he was but a peon in the employ of Don Francisco Jaramillo? Or at least had been up until that morning. He was but a poor man. It was his lot in life, his cross to bear. It was not his fault. Yet he wondered, could any other man bring Juanita more happiness than he could? His fist tightened around the pouch again. Well, if money was all that important to her father, he would show Juan de Dios Chacon money. Another violent shiver grabbed hold of him and shook him like a wolf shakes the life out of a rabbit. It occurred to Hernando suddenly, and for the first time, that he might not make it until tomorrow if he did not come upon some shelter. He had underestimated the fierceness of the storm, the intensity of the cold, and the distance to the crossing of the deep canyon of the Rio del Norte, and then on to La Madera, where Chacon's rancho was headquartered. It had been foolish of him not to have taken a horse before leaving Taos. Hernando had to smile at himself. Horses were one of the few things he truly understood. Women, and women whose fathers insisted on wealthy son-in-laws, this was something he had no comprehension of. Why had he overlooked such a simple and obvious matter as taking a horse? After all, what would one more thing matter now to Jaramillo? He wondered briefly if perhaps he should have stopped at Turley's distillery in Arroyo Hondo.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?